pine nuts, and pine nuts once again. What's up, 23% Nation? It's your man, Coach D. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm back with Nut of the Day, the one and only pine nut. Now, chances are you probably never knew that pine cones, or shall I say pine trees, which produce pine cones, could ever produce a pine nut. Well, if you're new to this information, much like me, then please listen on. Why? Because we're about to dive into the wonderful world of the pine nut. All right, first up, a little bit of background information. The pine nut is basically the edible nuts that come from pine trees. As a tree nut, pine nuts aren't a legume, such as the peanut, but rather a hardened fruit like the almond. That's right, guys. So if you want to think of pine nuts as fruits, basically compare it to an almond. While they're found on almost every continent, only 18 species of pine trees of Europe, North America, and Asia produce pine nuts large enough for human consumption. So what does that tell us? What that basically lets us know is that chances are there are other species of pine trees that actually produce pine nuts, but when it comes to human consumption, only 18 out of all the different species of pine trees can actually produce nuts that are large enough for humans. That's right. So there you have it, guys. Not one, not two, but three little tidbits of background information about the one and only pine nut. All right, now it's time to dive into a few fun facts. Native Americans living in the Great Basin, and that's basically the western part of the United States of America, have harvested nuts from the pinyon pine tree for over 10,000 years. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, how in the world do they know that? Well, this is according to some historical documentation. So, wow, who knew pine nuts were such a staple in the American diet for such a long time? Wow, lots of fun facts. All right, now it's time to dive into the 520 rule. Now, for those of us who've never heard the 520 rule, please listen up. Basically, the 520 rule applies to food labels. That's right. So for those of us who have difficulty understanding or how to read a food label, just listen up and I'll definitely offer you just a little bit of help. Basically, the 520 rule is a guide. It's a guide to help you know whether or not a food item is a good source or not a good source of any particular nutrient. Now, in order to use the 520 rule correctly, you gotta understand that it basically talks about specific percentages of nutrients, right? So we're talking about the daily value. In other words, how much does the human body require so that it runs optimally? Well, the best way to go about that is to look at the daily value of any particular nutrient. So when you're reading a food label, all you have to do is focus on that column that says percent DV, DV meaning daily value. Now, if a food offers anywhere from 0% to 9%, then it is not a good source of that particular nutrient. If, however, it offers 10% to 19%, then it is a good source of that particular nutrient. And last but not least, if the food item is offering 20% or greater of any particular nutrient, then it is an excellent source. So there you have it, guys. A little information about the 520 rule. All right. Now we're going to dive into the nutrition facts, or we can say the nutrient content of pine nuts. Now you're probably wondering, all right, Coach D, what was the purpose of going over the 520 rule? Well, now that we're going to talk about the nutrition facts, now it applies. So check this out. These nutrition facts are based on a single serving of pine nuts, which right now is 1 ounce. That's it, guys. Just a single ounce of pine nuts. Now, generally speaking, an ounce of pine nuts is probably going to be anywhere from 10 to 20 individual pine nuts. So One single serving is going to offer us 191 calories, almost 200, not bad. It's going to offer us 19 grams of fat. Now, some of us may be a little concerned about that. If you are, please don't be. The reason why you don't necessarily want to be too concerned about the amount of fat is because these are plant fats, not animal fats. Okay, next up is potassium, only 4% DV. So according to the 520 rule, pine nuts are not a good source of potassium. Why? Because 4% is between 0 and 9%. Now you're also going to get a little bit of carbohydrates, but only 3.7 grams, so barely anything significant. Also, you're only going to get 1 gram of fiber, which, if you look at the percent DV, is only 1% DV. So this is not a good source of fiber. Now, when it comes to protein, we're getting 7% DV, right? Now, again, 7% is not that great, so this is not a good source of protein. Iron, 8%, not necessarily a good source. Magnesium, 18%, so it is a good source. Phosphorus, 16%, good source. It is a good source of zinc at 12%. Not a good source of thiamine at only 7%. Riboflavin, 3.5%, not the best source. Vitamin B12, 3.5% DV. Niacin, 6.2%. Vitamin E, 8.8%. But now if we look at vitamin K, look at that. 19%, almost 20%, but technically it doesn't classify as an excellent source. Instead, it's a good source of vitamin K. So I understand that you may be a little concerned about the low percentages for pine nuts, but remember something, this is only a single ounce. So all you have to do is double up your servings, right? So rather than have one serving, maybe have 2 servings. And all those percent DVs, you can simply multiply them by 2. So chances are they'll go from being not a good source to being either a good source or maybe even an excellent source. All right, now it's time to dive into the health benefits. Now, before we go into the health benefits, here's something that Coach D wants you to understand, is that the health benefits, as opposed to the nutrition facts, this all applies to the principle of cause and effect, right? The principle of cause and effect basically states that all causes have their effect and every effect has its cause. Nothing happens by chance, nothing happens by luck. Okay, so that being said, once you decide to eat pine nuts and you put all of those amazing nutrients inside of your body, well, guess what? The health benefits are the effect, right? So what that goes to show you is that you don't become healthy by becoming lucky, and you don't become diseased by becoming unlucky. There is always a cause for every effect. That being said, let's now talk about the health benefits of pine nuts. Number 1, pine nuts, they lower bad cholesterol. They help to maintain healthy weight, right? So if anybody out there is looking to maintain their weight, go ahead, eat more pine nuts. Also, lowers blood pressure, supports bone growth, lowers risk of certain types of cancer, stabilizes your mood. So maybe you're very moody, okay? And people want you to become less moody. Well, eat more pine nuts. And last but not least, pine nuts improve our eye health. That's right. Why? Because they contain 2 amazing phytonutrients. One is called lutein and the other one is called zeaxanthin. So there you have it, guys. Lots and lots and lots of health benefits. All right, now it's time for us to go to our website for everything vegan, right? Guys, you know me. I always go to our website, forksoverknives.com, do just a little bit of research, and I come out with the most delicious vegan recipes. So the one pine nut vegan dish that I want to share with you today is called basil pesto. Take a look at the picture. Looks scrumptious. Now, our second recipe is entitled delicatata squash boats with cauliflower bechamel. Okay, so I hope I pronounced that last word correctly. At any rate, If you are so inclined, and I hope you are, to check out these recipes, all you have to do is go to the description box, and guess what? I'm providing a direct link to these individual dishes. Now, once you click on the link, you're going to find the following information. It's going to give you the ingredient list, it's going to give you the instructions, and it's going to give you the cooking time. So if you are inclined, then go ahead, click on the link, make it for yourself, maybe your family, maybe even for your friends, and send me a comment. Let Coach D know how it tastes. All right, now 23% Nation, I hear you. A lot of you say, Coach D, I love the vegan dishes. I love the background information. But what I really want to know is, when should I eat more pine nuts? Well, for those of you who want to know, the perfect day is Nature Day. That's right, Nature Day. Now, here's some information about Nature Day. Nature Day is the first day of the 23% challenge. That's right, guys. Now, if you've been living under a rock and you know nothing about the challenge, well, basically, the 23% challenge is a monthly 7-day wellness program that's meant to help improve your health, your wealth, your relationships, and it's also designed to help save planet Earth. That's right. Now, here's the really interesting part about the challenge is that it's the first 7 days of every single month. That's right, the first 7 days, the first through the 7th. Now, where does the Nature Day come in all this? Well, Nature Day is the first day of the challenge. So all that simply means is that Nature Day is the first day of every single month. So whether it's May 1st, June 1st, or even July 1st, it's always Nature Day. Okay. Now, Coach D wants to offer just a little bit of help. Why? Because I want you to have a successful Nature Day. Now, on Nature Day, you got to do a few things, but the primary objective is for you to get closer to nature. Now, I'm not talking about go on a nature walk or go swimming in the ocean. Instead, let's get closer to nature by simply eating more plants. Right? Sounds great. So, here are a few tips to help make your Nature Day very successful. The first thing that you can do in order to eat more plants for the entire first 7 days of the month is to go to your local grocery store and hang out in the produce section, right? Or you can go to your grocer's freezer because they also have frozen fruits and vegetables and legumes there. Now, if you don't want to go visit your local grocery store, then you can always go check out a farmer's market. That's right, guys. Farmers markets have many advantages over grocery stores. Also, you can go check out the prepared dishes section of your local grocery store. Now, this is for those of us who don't necessarily like to cook or want to cook, or maybe you don't even know how to cook plant foods. You know what? Let somebody else cook it for you. Now here, you may be able to save a little bit of money. Why? Because you'll be purchasing your plant foods by the pound, right? So maybe you can get half a pound, a whole pound, or why not try 2 pounds? And my last tip for Nature Day is to visit a vegan restaurant. That's right, visit a vegan restaurant. Now, don't just visit them, actually sit down and eat something. Now, for those of us who know nothing about vegan restaurants, all you have to do is go to Google and type in vegan restaurants near me. And chances are within less than a second, Google will provide you with several different options. Now, if you decide to go to a vegan restaurant, do 2 things. Number 1, let them know that Coach D sent you. And number 2, be sure to order something with pine nuts. All right, time for our question of the day. And it comes from yours truly and the rest of the 23% Nation. We want to know, which pine nut recipe do you prefer? Was it the first one, the second one, or maybe, just maybe, you know of a really nice vegan pine nut recipe that you would like to share with us? So whether you want to take one of mine or share one of yours, please write it in the comment box below. Guys, I want to thank you for watching. I definitely want to thank you for listening. Please subscribe and like the video, especially if you enjoy pine nuts. Also, don't forget to use our 3-word mantra. It's #EatMorePlants. As stated earlier, my name is Coach D. I'm signing out, and always remember to take care, God bless, and never ever forget that Coach D loves you.